Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 6, and today we're taking a look at the 1990 Jaguar XJS. Now this is a car that was in production from 1976 to 1996, where 115,000 were produced, and it replaced the E-Type, which came to its end in 1975, and it's a luxury Grand Tourer. So yeah, it's no sports car like the E-Type was, but I personally like the kind of approach this car went for, and I think it looks great. It's also somewhat practical, proper spare wheel in there. But the main thing about this car is the engine, which is we're going to take a look at now. So, like the E-Type had during the end of its run, it got a V12. But this is a 5.4 litre V12 engine, producing 299 horsepower and 318 pounds-feet of torque, which doesn't sound all that much for the size of engine that it is. But it is 26 years old, and they were obviously limited by some technology back then. But yeah, still a decent enough amount of power, and it actually sounds really rather good when it's up and running in terms of speed. Now, for the kind of size car that it is, you'd expect quite a lot of room interior-wise. Even though it does have rear seats, it is quite cramped, as you see by the headroom. Yeah, it's not the biggest car at all, and yeah, technology-wise inside, it's really kind of old hat. It had no real technological advances back then, and yeah, you could see it was showing its age because it is a 70s car, and even in 1990 it was 14 years old, and somehow it went on for another 6 years. But yeah, we're going to take this out onto the track and see what it can do, so see you when we get there. Welcome everybody to Brands Hatch. We're going to take this car around on the first lap and talk through it on the second lap. So as you can see, this is a car that's not going to break any records, but then again I don't think it was ever really intended to be a sports car, despite replacing the E-Type, which was a sports car. And yeah, it's still, in terms of acceleration wise, pretty decent. 0 to 60 in 8.579 seconds, 0 to 100 in 17.281 seconds, and going to a top speed of 167 mile an hour, which is pretty decent, especially considering two things that it has going against it. One, weight. It weighs 3,968 pounds, which is a hell of a lot. And the second reason is the gearbox. It's a 3-speed automatic gearbox, which I can see in some ways why they chose it, but it still strangles the power and strangles rather a large engine that has, yeah, a decent amount of power, and it certainly has quite a decent amount of torque as well, and you just can't get the best of that engine with this gearbox. It's got two longer gears, and as you saw when I set off on the first lap, it doesn't give it a good launch either. So yeah, that's my only big concern with this car, is that gearbox. It handles its weight really rather well. It doesn't handle or wallow around all that much for a car that does weigh as much as it does, and it brakes decently. It's not got the best brakes in the world. If you do push it, you will overrun, and it can understeer at times with that massive engine up front. But that, again, that's only if you really push it. If you're smooth and cautious with it, it's perfectly reasonable in terms of handling. And this isn't even the biggest engine version they made. They did make smaller versions with inline 6s, but they also made a 6 litre V12 version in 1992, which I'm not sad that we don't have, because it had a facelift and I don't think it looks as good as this one. But yeah, it would be nice to have different variants of cars on this game, which I have said before, but I'm happy with this version on the game because it is a car that I've always wanted on this game. I really think it was missing from previous games, and I'm glad they've started to put these kind of more exclusive, more rarer cars from companies that have been on the game before, and I think this is a classic in its own right. Unfortunately overshadowed by the success of the E-Type, but a great car nonetheless. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.